Good morning. I'm here in the old workshop uh, here, and I came across this that I had removed a long time ago. This is a valve from the inside of a gasoline engine, and if you tore your car apart, don't do that. But if you did tear your car apart, you would see that in the middle of your, for each cylinder, there are two or maybe even four of these, depending on your car. And this is what opens up and lets the gas in and the exhaust out, and they go back and forth. And if you look closely, you can see that this one is all scored with carbon, and it's had a hard life. And I was looking at this, and it reminded me that for a long time, these valves had to be on the side of the engine, and they would open up, but they were parallel to the piston going up and down. It made it inefficient, but it also made it so the valves didn't get burned up all the time, which is what would happen if you put them on top where the explosion happens. What changed? Well, it turns out that there were clever engineers, and they found out that the metal sodium, now you've heard of that, it's highly reactive, and if you just had a blob of it in your hand, it would eat through your hand. If you dropped it in water, it would fizz and bubble, maybe even explode. It's highly reactive. You've also heard of it because it's the stuff in salt that's in your body, but because it's ionized, it's okay. But they realize that that metal, that sodium will melt and carry heat very quickly, much more quickly than steel could. And if there was some way you could put sodium inside this valve, it would actually carry the heat away much more effectively and make it much more useful. And after a lot of work, they figured out how to do that. They did that exact thing. They made it so that they could put the metal sodium inside this valve. And if you were to take it apart in your car, you would find that inside the valve there was that very metal. It was that good an idea that for the last 50 years or so, that's what they've all been. Because it works so well at carrying the heat away that it couldn't otherwise. And I've always imagined that that engineer, whoever it was that came up with that great idea, was thinking about you and me, about himself, about his compatriots. Because the reality is that inside of us, there's an ability to carry away the stresses and strains that we're under, the heat of our normal existence. And whereas the valve had to do it by, drilling and inserting and all sorts of engineering gymnastics, you and I do it through, well, the mindfulness that we ask others to engage in, the thoughtfulness, and, well, the gratitude, the meditative aspect that you and I have that allow us to process the heat of our existence and to deal with it creatively, to make something else of it than might have been made otherwise. Now, I'm not perfect at it. There are some times when I forget. The valve never can, but I do. I let it pile up, and I notice that my edges begin to get frayed. Well, we even call it burnout. They called it the same when that happened to valves, that they would burn up, burn out, and need to be replaced. Well, you and I recognize that in order to be effective, in order to be at our best, we need to find a way to dissipate that heat, to deal with those issues. And the more effectively we do that, the better we're able to, to carry on, to do our jobs, and to do it in a mindful way so that we're able to do the job in a manner that is, well, befitting an important job, and to let go of some things that maybe need to let go of. That's the great thing about yours and my ability to be mindful in those situations. We can dissipate heat selectively. We need to do it, but we can do it in a creative way, in a loving way, in a way that makes us better able to do what we wanted to do in the first place, to help others. So whenever the things get hot, whenever the pressure's on, like it is in the engine for this valve, remember whoever it was that put the sodium in the middle here. They did it knowingly, because we need to dissipate that heat. We need to do it in a way that preserves our integrity and yet does the job effectively. And the better we're able to do that, the more mindful we are. The better we are for ourselves, yes. The better we are able to do the job, absolutely. And the better we are for those around us. That's a trifecta.